Hi, Stone here with Wood and Stone. One of the questions I get asked a lot is how do you cover the edge of plywood? And today I'm in the shop working on a cabinet, getting ready to cover the edge of some plywood. So here's the video. What I like to use is, you'll see down in the corner when I'm working with something on its edge, I use a clamping square, clamp to the bench, clamp to my piece, so my hands are free to do as I like. This works for anything that you need, that way you're not all curled up doing some cabinet maker yoga, trying to make things work with not enough hands. Then I buy the pre-glued edge banding. I prefer the glue, I just find it's a better adhesive, but this is a way to get started on the lower end, getting a solid bond without having to spend thousands of dollars on tooling, which is why I'm showing this technique to you. And then I use a Wood River iron. A lot of people will say that they want to use just a cheaper home iron, and I don't disagree that you can do it that way. This has a smaller head on it, and it also, you can control the temperature, which becomes crucial when you start working with like PVC edge banding and those kinds of things, where the material itself can melt if you're running it too hot. Then, now that my hands are free, I'm going to take the edge banding, hold it in place, get a little bit laid out so that I'm not fighting being able to hold this overhang on both sides, and then just start applying heat. Usually what happens is I will get this on what I would say rough, like 80-90% attached, and then go back through. You can see it's starting to curl up here. Then go back through and make sure everything's really well bonded before I get on to the next step. So you see, as I'm checking this, that like the original bond, I set the iron down. The reason that I did that is when you're running it over your piece, especially on the longer runs, you'll notice that the heat dissipates. That's entirely normal. So I'm just letting that iron get back up to heat before I go back through and kind of touch up and make sure I have a really good bond. And it doesn't take long, it's already back up to heat. And then I like to actually look at the edge to make sure I am bonded on my edge all the way down. And this one, we're not holding it too long there. The reason is it also re-emulsifies that glue so it can pick up your piece also. Meaning that the glue gets soft again and actually comes up when the wood warps due to the heat. I'll reset. Do the same for my top edge, or the edge that was away from me. Sometimes holding it in place while the glue is cooling off doesn't take long. A couple of seconds can help. And again, there are fancier ways to do this with fancier tools, but this is a really good economical way to do it. So now I have a nice tight bond along my edge here. Just to make sure it's really well bonded. I'll come back through with my fingers. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it, but what I want to make sure is when since there is a lip here for me to actually be able to put my hand on, I'm pulling on it a little bit to make sure it's actually really well bonded before I start to clean up everything. So there's also a bunch of different ways to clean up this edge so that it's actually flush. You can route it. There's also some tools that have razors. The downside that I've seen with the tools that have razors, if you don't stay on top of it, so it's more of a maintenance thing as opposed to the tool itself, it's you maintaining it. When those razors get dull, it likes to chip out or tear out wood. So you just have to make sure the razors are really sharp. What I'm going to show you today is a technique with a file, and you need the teeth on the side in order to do this technique. Some files don't have teeth on the side, so that's why I bring it up. And all we're going to do is hold it. I'm not filing the surface, I'm using the edge here, so I'm not putting a lot of pressure down, I'm just holding it down. And then at a slight angle in the direction that you're going to be pushing, so I'm pushing all this back and that edge will cut flush with your surface. This works for plastic laminate too, by the way. And again, I don't have a ton of pressure out here, this is just keeping it flat. And then I'll go back through and ease that edge. So I have a little bit of an angle here. I'm putting some pressure up here and just creating an ease. And then I go back through and I feel and make sure I don't have anything hanging up, because that's what will catch and tear your pieces, your edge banding off. So now I'm going to flip it over, do the same to the other side, and then we're roughed in, ready for assembly. And then I sand after assembly, just to make sure all of my edges and seams are nice and clean and tight. Have a good day.